Hello YouTube fans, this is TheSkullKlown. I'm here to talk about Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. Now, I probably have talked about this before, but I want to make a video about it. The Dragon Quest fandom is great. It's great. There's no toxicity, there's no drama. It's mostly like, what Dragon Quest game you like? Oh, I like Dragon Quest 1, or Dragon Quest 3, or Dragon Quest 5, or Dragon Quest 7, or even 9, or even the latest one, Dragon Quest 11, And it's like, okay, cool, I like those games too, and we all share and discuss what type of, stories or how we felt while we were playing the game and all that. Then when we get similar stuff, we'll be like, yeah, we get hyped up and we get excited, we become like kids again, But when it comes to Final Fantasy, I like Final Fantasy 6. I like Final Fantasy 7. I like Final Fantasy 10. Well, fuck you. Those games suck. Well, fuck you. That game sucks. I like Final Fantasy 13. Fuck you. You don't deserve to have that opinion. It's so toxic as fuck. And in a way, do I blame the fans a bit? Yes. But do I blame Square? Yes, I do. Because, look, they're a company at the end of the day. Ever since after Final Fantasy X, they have divided the fan base. Everyone knows this. We've been knowing this ever since after Final Fantasy X, right? Ever since they made 10-2, it was divisive, right? And for crying out loud, the guy that made Final Fantasy didn't even want sequels to begin with. But once he got out, and then a new person came in that I think still is the CEO of Square. He was just like, oh, we're going to get sequels and everything like that. And that's how we got what we got today. Milking the fucking Final Fantasy franchise for nothing. And yet, what suffered? Final Fantasy 13, Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy 15, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Oh yeah, I'm going to point that out too. Alright? It is so baffling of how all of this happened. And the thing is, if you point this out to somebody, they just probably will see it and be like, yeah, man, it's kind of fucked up. Other people might see it and be like, I don't give a fuck. All right? And the thing is, I think we should give a fuck. Why? Because these companies, some of these gaming companies actually want us to fight each other. Look how The Last of Us turned out, man. Look at how The Last of Us was. They divided the fan base. Now if there's a Last of Us 3, is that even going to make money? I'm not buying Last of Us 2. And if there is a Last of Us 3, good luck if you want me to fucking look at it. I'm not looking at that shit. I might buy a poster of it. Because if it has Ellie on it, oh, I'm definitely buying it. I mean, the actress that plays Ellie, sexy. Oh, she is just too cute, alright? But it's something that, I don't know, it's something that I feel like the Final Fantasy fandom should look at the Dragon Quest fandom and be like, what are we doing wrong? I remember back in the day, Final Fantasy fandom wasn't really like that, at least when I was younger. I don't remember complaining and arguing with people. For kind of like when I liked it about Crisis Core, I told people like I like Crisis Core, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I like Final Fantasy 8, I like Final Fantasy 7." There was no arguments, And then all of a sudden, after 13 came out, all of a sudden everyone hates each other. I started noticing that after 13, and I'm just like, is it because you guys hate 13, and if people like it, or just fuck them? And it's funny, too, because now 13 is looked back as fondly. Yes, it might have flaws, but people are looking back at it and be like, you know what? I enjoyed it for what it was. The other two games, all right, fine. But overall, I think it needs a second chance. And I agree. I think Final Fantasy 13 does need a second chance. Most people might be like, what about 15? Don't you even dare bring that in my fucking channel. But I say this right now. If you love Final Fantasy 15, don't make others make you feel bad that you love it. There's reasons why we criticize 15 and 13 and other games that are like 15, But if you like it, that's fine. And if it's your first Final Fantasy game, I feel sorry for you. My first Final Fantasy game was 1 and 2 on the Game Boy, and, you know, I never looked back ever since. But, I don't know. I just feel like if you are going to introduce someone with Final Fantasy, at least give them one of the classics from 1 to 10, in my opinion. In my opinion. You know? That's just me, and a lot of people will actually probably agree with me with that. They're like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, introduce people from 1 through 10 or something like that. Pick one of the categories. What do you want to pick? 7, 10, 9, 8? Which one you want to pick? You know, 4? What do you want? You know, 5? Which one you want to pick? You know, but it just became toxic over the years. And do I a little bit again, like I said, do I blame Square Enix a little bit? Well, Square a bit, yeah. I'm not going to 100% blame them because it does come down to the fans too. It's just that they have separated the fandom so bad that it's just hilarious that they think it's fun in games, actually. Look at how Final Fantasy VII turned out. I don't care if you... I'm talking about the remake, and I don't care if you guys love the game. If you haven't played the original, you can't say shit about how the remake is compared to the original. I'm sorry. Oh, I like the remake. Did you play the original? What? Yeah, shut up then. I'm sorry. You can't... It's almost like saying, oh, I like... It's almost... I don't know. Look. The best part about Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest is that you could pick any other of the games and be instantly hooked in the series. That's what I loved about these two franchises. But if you're gonna milk it in a way and divide fandom, you're just making toxicity, you're just making a toxic environment, Square. And you do it, and then at that point you're doing it on purpose, and you don't care. For crying out loud, when you are literally separating content and putting extra money in it, and then other people are like, yeah. If you did that with if you did that with Dragon Quest in Japan, I guarantee you there would fucking be riots. All right. Let me explain something too, because I want to make a video about Nintendo also. Nintendo. I'm surprised Nintendo gives a fuck about Dragon Quest. Why? Because they try to give a fuck over here. They try to bring it over here in America, and it didn't sell very well, so they had to give it away. I'm surprised they have the love and fun of Dragon Quest, but then shit on Earthbound. It's funny how Nintendo is, right? It's funny how that is. Because they won't do that to Dragon Quest, right? Because they know it's a phenomenon. And they know it's a cult classic. But ever since Earthbound became a cult classic, oh no, you don't deserve it. But if it happened, but they did that to Dragon Quest, so many people would hate you for it. So many people, but since it makes you so much money, you're gonna fucking do it. I'm looking at that with Square Enix too. Well, mostly Square. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you companies, man? That's how you know you have old timers working in the business that literally just don't give a fuck. And then when there's a gaming franchise that made them a whole bunch of money back in the day, in Japan, it's a cult status in Japan. You can't fuck that up in Japan. Look, I'll say this right now. We all know that the people that have made Dragon Quest the way it is, we know that they're not going to be around for you know, I mean, they're young, they're still going to be around for many years to come and shit, but eventually they're going to not be here. And when that happens, what Square Enix is going to do? Are they going to make Dragon Quest action RPG? Like I'm talking about the main series? And most people be like, oh, I don't think they would do that. This is Square fucking Enix, man. For crying out loud. When the guy that made Final Fantasy left, it has never been the same again. So imagine what happened if the creators of Dragon Quest left. Or never decided to make another Dragon Quest game. And then other people do it. Look, I understand there's other gaming companies that help make Dragon Quest, like Chunsoft and all that, which is fine. Really, when you find out about Dragon Quest, who was making Dragon Quest games, literally NX has never made one Dragon Quest game. Like their main hub, their main studio, they have never made one Dragon Quest game. They had other studios making their own Dragon Quest games. That it goes back to even the later games. When I found that out, I'm like, so they never really made they just published it. All right, that's fine. You know, hire other companies and devs that actually can make a game. You can't blame a company doing that. They're being smart. They're not being an idiot. You know, because when you look at the history of NX, the guy that made the company the way it is, he wanted to go into programming and gaming, but he didn't know nothing about programming or gaming. So he hired people for that. Because he was smart. He wasn't stupid. God, man. Seriously. And the thing is, too, when it comes to other properties like Earthbound, and when it comes to other properties like Earthbound, people love them to death. And people want to buy them. But you have companies like Nintendo or Square that just not want people to even think about it. Like, for example, you know that whole theory about Ultimecia being Renoa and shit? Most people might be like, oh, it's not confirmed and shit. I don't give a fuck. Oh, forget about that. And I'm looking at the perspective of the game, what the game is telling me, and the game is telling me that woman that is Ultimecia is Renoa. She fucking has the same fucking Eidolon chain that it's called, oh, I don't know, what is it, that lion symbol that Sqawn has. Why would Ultimecia have a lion summon if it's supposed to be for Sqawn? No shit, it's Renoa. You know? Like, come on, guys. And then when you tell the developers that in Square Enix, they get pissed off. And I'm like, let the fans be, man. You don't see that with the Dragon Quest community. For crying out loud, like, what is it? Like in Dragon Quest 6, for example, there was a character that hinted that she's a dragon. And when the fans figured it out, the guy that created Dragon Quest was like, oh yeah, she is. She's a dragon. And people were like, oh my god, that's awesome, you know? And none of the you see how it is? The Dragon Quest creators are like, yeah, you know, be happy with it. Yeah, it's connected and all that, but if it wasn't as a fan for you, if you see it that way, then you see it that way, and that's cool. That's why I love about Dragon Quest. People see other things about Dragon Quest, and the same thing with Final Fantasy. But yeah, with Final Fantasy, if you point something out to somebody that, oh, if it's not drilled in their fucking skull, they're gonna say, oh, it's not there. It's fake. If the gaming programmers don't admit it, then it's fake. It's not real. But yet, back in Final Fantasy VIII, when it was being made, Renoa was not the original love interest for Sqawn. It was Sophia. Selphie. Sorry, not Sophia. Selphie. Okay? And then they changed it. Which, to be honest, Sqawn and Selphie all day. All day. Well, I want to have Sqawn go with Keistis, but you know what? I want Keistis for myself. I will fight her. I will fight for her, alright? I will fight all the men in the world to get with Keistis. Alright? She can whip me any day. Hell yeah. So, moving on. But, guys, this is just something that I feel. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. But somehow you guys gotta know where I'm coming from. You know? And I don't hate Square Enix to the core like some people are. I'm just disappointed at them. You know, there's some games that could have been such iconic games. Like, again, like Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 should have been literally a 10 out of 10 game. Or at least a 9.5 out of 10. And it's not. It's an 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. It would be lesser than that. Like a 6 or a 5. Most people are like, where do you get that from? Are you serious? You're not going to look at Final Fantasy. You're not going to look at Kingdom Hearts 3 and be like, that's like a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. Or even 5 out of 10. Looking back now. Like, looking back now. If you played Kingdom Hearts 3 and you know all the series, basically. And you played all the games, for example. You know? That's just me. That's just me. I'm just rolling up a blunt here. But, you know, smoking some weed. Anyways. Some herb. I mean, I just need to say that. Why wouldn't you, you know, just saying, no one should not be sober in this world. Alright? You live in a world filled with chaos, death, and misery. Motherfucker, drink, smoke. I don't give a fuck, man. Like, as long as you're paying your rent, doing what you gotta do, who gives a fuck? You know? But moving on. I just wished that the Final Fantasy community really looks at this video and literally is just like, hey, maybe we're all being too harsh, and I agree. Maybe I was being too harsh too with some stuff, you know, because we're all in a way responsible, you know. Because at the same time, even though we might like a game, and then some people are like, oh, you're stupid, you're a hater, and all. I mean, you're stupid, and that game is terrible and shit. You might look at them and be like, you might defend the game and shit. Like, there's some people that hate Final Fantasy 9. And I'm just like, are you high? Oh yeah, I hate Final Fantasy 9 because the main character is a monkey. And I'm like, is that the only reason why you hate it and you won't play it? For crying out loud, when I heard about like, oh, I'm not playing Final Fantasy 9 because it has a furry on it. And it's like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? You really going to distract yourself because the main character looks like a furry and you're just going to be like, oh no, the game sucks? That game is amazing, and there's a reason why the creator of Final Fantasy loves that game. It's his personal favorite. Just like the guy that created Dragon Quest V is his personal favorite. There's a reason why those games are their personal favorites, because it speaks Dragon Quest. It speaks Final Fantasy. And the Dragon Quest community gets that. But when it comes to the Final Fantasy community, oh, fuck you, you don't deserve it. Oh, I'm better than you. Oh, no, this is the highest one is Final Fantasy 6 or 7, and that's it. It's 6, by the way. I'd rather play 6 and 8 than 7 any day. You see, the reason I said that is because 7 has been shoved down our throats countless times, and we know it's a good game and shit. But guys, look at what Square's been doing with that franchise. Even if I love Crisis Core, or even if you love some of the side stuff, like even the movie, you gotta look back and be like, Square is just milking this shit all it's got with Final Fantasy VII. And I don't want to make this a Final Fantasy VII discussion, but I just need to point that out because it needs to be said. And I've talked about this countless times in my channel. I don't have to say it a lot, but it goes to the fact of the toxicity of the fandom. For crying out loud, they just announced Dragon Quest III remake. 2D remake. And that shit looks beautiful as fuck. And I just got the Switch version for 1, 2, and 3, and I don't mind. I started laughing when I saw that trailer. I'm like, now you're going to make me buy this version. I'm going to have to buy another Final Fantasy 3 version. Why not? Dragon Quest 3. I love Dragon Quest 3. Oh, hell yeah. Dragon Quest 3, if you haven't played that game, you owe it to yourself as a gamer to play that game. Alright? Seriously. You don't have to play Dragon Quest 1 and 2 if you don't want to. If you want to start with Dragon Quest 3, which makes sense because it is a prequel, then do it. Hell, you could probably start in Dragon Quest 11 if you wanted to. That's a prequel. If you want to, there's no definitive timeline of Dragon Quest. Same thing with Final Fantasy, which is fine. But you could tell there's some things that, they take and put timelines in that are woven in connectly, Like, for example, Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3, they're connected. They're a franchise. Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6, they're connected. They're a franchise, That's what I love about those series, And in a way they're doing it too with let's see 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, that would make sense. Yes, 7, 8, and 9. And then you got skip 10 because that's MMO. Then you got 11, and then 12, and then 13. So 12, and 11, 13 could be their own separate franchises in the world of Dragon Quest 11. Even though Dragon Quest 11 is also a prequel to the original trilogy, basically. If that is, as a fan, if you want it to be, that's what I loved about Dragon Quest 11. It's like, hey, this is part of the trilogy, or the original trilogy, but if you don't want it to be, that's fine. It doesn't have to be. That's what I love about the game. The game is just like, it is, but it isn't. It's up to you as a fan. And I'm like, I love you. And that's how you should do it sometimes, You don't have to do it all the time. If you want to tell a story and tell a narrative, then do it, and tell a timeline, a straight timeline, go ahead and do it. So, and I do want to point out too what they're going to do with Dragon Quest 11, because in Dragon Quest 11 there's 2 timelines now. Yes, there is. There's 2 timelines. One when your friend died, and one you went back in time to save your friend. Right? So if you play Dragon Quest XI, I'm not going to spoil you a lot of what character that happens to. All I have to say is, I never cried such a bitch in that game in my life. I'll say that. I'll say this right now. The death part, the death scene that's in Dragon Quest XI is not to compare to what the death scene was in Final Fantasy VII. Oh, I said it. I fucking said it. For crying out loud, there's death scenes in Final Fantasy 2 and what, 5 that are more dramatic and more sad than it was in Final Fantasy 7. But since it's so 3D and FMV status, oh my god, people just, yeah. That's what happens with graphics, man. It blinds people. It does. It blinds people. It does. Why do you think we get some shitty games and people will be like, what are you talking about? It looks beautiful. I'm like, the graphics look beautiful, but the game, you say, I'm talking about the game. I'm talking about how the game plays, man. Like, if the game plays like shit, sorry, no one's not gonna play it, you know? Shit. Cyberpunk? Anyone? You know? So, that's just me, man. That's just me. And it's just something that I'll just want to bring out. And if there's any Final Fantasy fans that agree, that's fine. And I don't, that you should agree, because it's just the toxicity of the fandom. And we used to have fun, talk about our favorite Final Fantasies, you know? And now we need to go to other communities to speak of minds to say how much we love it. Look at Kingdom Hearts right now. That's even dividing the fandom. Sqawn, man, what the fuck? NX doesn't want to do that, but Sqawn does. Ever since the creator left, man, you just don't give a fuck. You never have. Like, the thing is, there's no structure in Sqawn when it comes to Final Fantasy. That's why it's all random with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy hasn't found its identity in such a long time, while Dragon Quest knows what the fuck it is. And people always be like, oh, Dragon Quest never changed anything up. And yet, people still praise it. Why? Because it hasn't changed, you know, like Final Fantasy. Yeah, they might change a few stuff and add stuff to make, oh, I don't know, the game better, and maybe more people can come and play it. But no, you know, let's just have boring mechanics that's just, you know, gonna brain dead people and shit. I don't know. That's just the way I feel with Square's mechanics nowadays, man. Brain dead, and all they want to do is literally just make a movie. They make a movie. Oh, wait, that's right. You suck at making movies, Square. So what do you want to do? You want to make a movie, or do you want to make a game? You can't have both, you bitch. You can't have both. You can't. Sorry, Square. All right? At least with NX, I can see them make a movie, to be honest. Because at least there's people there that will actually try to make a story. Instead with Square, they'll be like, let's change everything up. Let's put that in that. Let's put that as its own animated series. Let's put that as its own 8-bit video game, and let's put this as the main game. Oh, what? Oh yeah, you need to have all of this to get the story too. If you don't, then oh well. Oh what? Oh yeah, the whole Noctis part. You want to know what happened to Noctis's mom? Oh, you need to know about the anime. Oh, you don't know what happened to his mom? Well then, well, fine. That would have been awesome if you fought the creature, the villain that took out Noctis's mom, and she was one of the bosses in Final Fantasy 1. She's one of the serpent goddesses that I forgot what's her called, but she's one of the fire goddesses you have to fight in Final Fantasy 1. She's one of the fiends, the 4 fiends. And when I found that out, I'm just like, yo, like, how come there's not a boss fight with her? Wouldn't it be great if he wanted to get revenge on her? And they showed it in the animated version, right? I guess. I didn't watch the whole animated one, but I seen stuff of them mentioning, oh yeah, he went after her or some shit. But I'm just like, have it in the game? Or better yet, when you do a bundle, have all of that in the game, and then when people play the game, they'll be like, oh hey, I know what I'm getting into. Nope.